I'm gonna put in F tier. I did not like this movie. I think a lot of people did not like this movie. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. The most recent Marvel movie that was just released was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So I thought it would be fun to do an updated tier list of every single MCU movie and television show and give them my rankings and my thoughts. So let's go ahead and get into it. So I have the tier list up here and it has all of the newest movies and TV shows as well as the old ones. So we're just gonna start off going from the beginning of the list all the way down to the bottom. This tier list that I found has more than just the MCU, so I'm just going to stick to the MCU. So if you see me skipping some of them, that's why. Let's start with Ant-Man and the Wasp. I kind of don't really remember this one that much. I remember Luis being funny and like their heist was pretty funny, but other than that it was a little bit forgetful, so I'm gonna put it in the D tier. It's definitely not the worst Marvel movie I've ever seen, but it's not even mid. I would say it's below mid, so we're gonna put it in D tier. Then the next one is Ant-Man, just the first one, and I'll put that in C tier because I thought it was funny, the story was good, it introduced Ant-Man pretty well, and Scott Lang's character, but again it wasn't like superior, wasn't super good. So Avengers Age of Ultron, this is so controversial because I actually really liked Age of Ultron. I loved Wanda and Pietro's character arc and I didn't think that this was bad at all. So I'm actually gonna put this one in the B tier, which I know probably people don't like this movie, but I think it's fine. So next we have Avengers Infinity War, and this one's so good. It made me bawl my eyes out. And I think just that first time ever watching it was so good that I was like Google searching what's gonna happen next on Endgame and I just needed to know, and I would actually put this one in S tier. This one was so good, and I know the rewatchability of it is not the best, but it's still so good. So, and if I wait like a year or two, I can watch it with fresher eyes and it's still pretty good. Captain Marvel, I'm gonna put in F tier. I did not like this movie. I think a lot of people did not like this movie. I don't like the character Carol Danvers. I think Brie Larson's a good actress, but just do not like this movie. And it was so forgetful. I guess nostalgia for the 90s and 2000s is cool, but other than that, there's really no point to this movie. We have Captain America Winter Soldier. I'm actually gonna put this in the A tier. It's one of my favorite Marvel movies, but it didn't have that big of an impact like emotion wise when I was first watching it, being like, this is probably one of my favorites. But now as all the other ones have come out, it's definitely up there on like top 10 for me. So I would put it in the A tier. The story was good, characters were good. Okay, now we have Captain America the First Avenger, and I'm actually gonna put this in B tier. It was pretty good. It introduced Captain America, but I think the rewatchability of this one is not very good, and I don't really like rewatching this movie. It was a little slow in some areas and just wasn't my favorite. So, but it's also not terrible. It's mid. Then we have Civil War, which I am going to put into S tier. This is probably one of my favorite. Whoa, my computer's lagging. Hold on. This is probably one of my absolute favorite Marvel movies, especially, I know it's Captain America Civil War, but it should definitely be an Avengers movie. And out of all the Avengers movies, this is probably one of my favorites, if not my favorite, with the entire like whole cast and everything. The storyline's amazing. It introduces a lot of good characters like T'Challa or Black Panther, Spider-Man, that's his first movie, and it's just super good. So, and I can rewatch it all the time. It's one of my comfort movies. All right, we got the first Doctor Strange movie, which F tier. I hated this movie. This was probably the first time I watched a Marvel movie and really disliked it. I didn't really like the concept of it. I thought the magic was cool and the humor was there. You know, Marvel cheesy humor. It was pretty good. But I don't know, just the overall story, I didn't really like it. I didn't like the multiple realm thing. And I know I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for that, which I don't care. If you have a comment about that, you can leave it in the comment section, but be nice, because I won't get my feelings hurt, actually. I really don't care what you think about my opinion on that movie. But it's not good. Okay, we got Avengers Endgame, and I would put this one as an A tier. I think it was really good. Another good full cast moment. You got those amazing epic battle scenes, and the concept was pretty good. Kept you on the edge of your seat pretty much, but the rewatchability again is not very good. And the only reason why I wouldn't put it in the S tier along with Infinity War is Infinity War made me cry uncontrollably for almost every single one of the characters. And this is gonna make me sound kind of evil, but I really like it when the heroes don't win, and I like it when there's like when a character is supposed to die and then they don't die, it kind of like takes you out of the reality and you're like, okay, like of course they had to survive. But Infinity War, like everybody dies, spoilers. Infinity War was heartbreaking and all the characters die or disappear, and it's more moving that way. And then this one, I know Tony dies and it's so sad. And Black Widow, I know like those scenes were really, really sad and heartbreaking, but it just didn't pack as much of a punch. So I'm just gonna put it in A tier. I feel very on the defense of this video because I don't want to be attacked like, you're so stupid for thinking that. We got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. I'll put that in the B tier. It was funny, but I haven't really rewatched it in a while, so I don't remember that much about it, but it's still good. It introduces the characters, it's funny, it's a good Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And then Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 I would put in the C tier. It's pretty mid. The comedy's of course always there with them, the characters are great, but felt like the storyline was a little bit lacking in that one, so that one's going in the C tier. Then we got Spider-Man Far From Home, which I would put in the B tier as well. Loved it. I think that it was really good, but the rewatchability, I don't know. There's something with Marvel's later films. I would say after Civil War, the rewatchability on all of them has been a little bit lacking, and that one is included in it. But I like Quentin Beck, Jake Gyllenhaal's character. I think his character's good, and the nanotech and that whole stuff, that's really fun to watch. So we got the Incredible Hulk, which I always forget that this is actually an MCU movie because it was made right after Iron Man. So it was Iron Man and then Hulk, but it's with the other Hulk actor, and I didn't like this movie, so I'm gonna put it in an F tier. Actually, I was so young. I'm gonna actually put it in a D tier because I didn't hate it nearly as much as Doctor Strange and Captain Marvel, but it's pretty mid. Anyway, let's see. What is this? We got Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 deserves to be put in the D tier. It's not the worst movie, but it kind of crapped on Iron Man 1. Wasn't very good. The villain wasn't very good. I did not like the Iron Man suit with the triangle. I hate that suit so much, and they utilized that suit so much in Iron Man 2, and I just thought it was so bad. But I do like how he created like a huge arc reactor with the technology stuff with Tony Stark is always great. But yeah. And then we have Iron Man 3, which I would also put in a D tier. It wasn't very good. I didn't like how Pepper got powers. I understood that it was necessary, but the villain was so bad and it was just not good, but whatever. Then we also have Iron Man 1, the first Iron Man and the very first MCU movie that we got in phase 1. It was so good, and it's going straight to the S tier. And if I were to even rank like the S tier, this is number 1. This is my favorite Marvel movie ever created, ever will be created. Nothing will ever stand up to the very first Iron Man. I can rewatch the first Iron Man once a month and get the exact same feeling that I got when I first watched it. It is beautiful storytelling. Jon Favreau is a great director. He did such an amazing job. The casting is perfect on every single level. And also, I talk about this a lot with my friends and my family that care to listen. I really like Iron Man because it's dealing with real world issues. Like, I know there's not going to be a man who's going to create an iron suit and like go kill a bunch of people. I know it's fantastical in that way, but he's like basically fighting the Taliban or fighting like a terrorist organization, and that is more realistic, especially during the time period that this was filmed in. It was just really on the nose, and nowadays, you know, all the Marvel movies are about aliens or different planets and saving the world, saving the galaxy, that kind of thing, and this just seemed just more realistic. Having a superhero in something that is plausible is more entertaining for me to watch than them fighting like a big purple monster. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents on that one. Okay, we get the first Black Panther movie, and I'm gonna put this one in the A tier. It's a great movie. R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman. So good. But the only reason why I wouldn't put it in the S tier is actually my husband brought this to my attention, and now every single time I watch it, it really bothers me. But when he's in Shuri's lab and he has sandals on and she goes, "What are those?" My husband was like, "I can't watch that movie because of that scene. It's so annoying to watch." And now that's all I think of every time that scene comes up, and it really irks me. But I know it's only one scene out of everything, but that's just the only reason why it's not going in S tier, is that one scene. So then we have the first Spider-Man of the MCU, Spider-Man Homecoming. This one's gonna go in the C tier. It's kind of forgetful. I remember when I first saw it, I did not really like their adaptation of Peter Parker. Now that we have No Way Home and Far From Home, I really like the MCU's adaptation of Spider-Man. But that first installation, I did not like him because he is the neighborhood Spider-Man and he is more of the vigilante, even though I know everybody's like trying to say like, no, he's a superhero, blah, 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 blah. And I thought he just relied way too much on Tony Stark, and he was like, saw Tony more as like his dad, like getting reprimanded by Tony. And I didn't really like that because even with his own parents, well, not his parents, even with his aunts and uncles, like he kind of like doesn't listen to them, and sometimes he's a little bit of a punk, and he's just there to be the neighborhood Spider-Man. And I feel like they played too much of Tony being like his dad, and I didn't really like that. That's the only thing that I didn't really like. And then also I just don't really remember it that much, so it's going in the C tier. We got the first Thor movie. I'm gonna put that in C tier. It's pretty mid. There's some scenes that are really great and super fun to watch, but I don't think I would sit through watching the entire Thor movie ever again. I think they took Thor way too seriously at the beginning, and now where we see Thor with Love and Thunder and Ragnarok, way better character, more character arc. This one, he was just like, I don't know, kind of annoying. And then we have Thor Dark World, which we all know that's going in the F slot. It's one of the worst Marvel movies for sure. And I actually don't remember anything about this movie, like at all. And I remember when I saw Endgame and they're going to go get all of the Infinity Stones and they have to go get the one that's inside Jane. I was like, when did this ever happen in any of the Marvel movies? And I then had to do my own research, and of course it's in Thor Dark World. And gotta say, it's very forgetful that I didn't even remember this main plot point of the entire movie. So that was fun. All right, Thor Ragnarok. We're gonna put that in an A tier, which I know a lot of people think that should probably be in the S tier, but I'm just gonna put it in the A because, again, the rewatchability, not super good, but the storyline's great, the comedy's great. You get a new look into Thor, but now that we have more movies out, that one's just kind of dropped down a little bit. I would say when I first saw the movie, it would definitely be in the S tier, but now that we have 5 more phases out right now, it would definitely be A tier for me. So, sorry. Don't yell at me. The first Avengers movie, I'm gonna put in the C tier. I actually remember this one completely. Like, I almost remember every single scene that happened in this movie. It's just, I don't know. That's so controversial because I put Ultron ahead of the first Avengers movie. I'm just gonna leave it there. It's mid, so don't yell at me. WandaVision. Moving on. WandaVision gets an A. Out of all the television shows, it's the best television show for sure. It's so sad. I cried near the end. Okay, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's gonna get a C. It was mid, but it was pretty good. I really liked, again, real world issues. If the whole world were to, like, half the universe is gone and then they come back, they're gonna have like really no resources and like no jobs, displaced people, refugees, all that kind of stuff. So they're fighting like real world problems, which is exactly what I love about Iron Man. But the only reason why I would put it so much lower than Iron Man is because COVID shortened the film duration because of COVID. And so I know that kind of, it just seemed like it cut off way too soon. There needed to be a little bit more storytelling. I think if this was a movie, it would have been a lot higher on my list, maybe even an A. But because it was a TV show and it came out like week by week and we had to watch it week by week, I kind of lost my interest in it just a little bit. So that's going to be a C. It could even be, it's like a C and a half. A C and a half. A C plus, if you will. I'm a teacher and I know everything about grading, but we got Loki. I'm going to put that as a B. Not as good as WandaVision, Not as bad as Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Middle of the road, baby. Shang-Chi's gonna get a B as well. Because it was coming out during that time where we were getting superhero fatigue. I think if I saw it during a time where all like the renaissance of Marvel movies was happening with phase 1, 2, and 3, I think it would be higher on my list, but I'm just gonna put it in the B because I was very fatigued with superhero movies. Eternals had just come out, or whatever. They were like back-to-back releases, and we were all super disappointed with phase 4 already, so... But this one was definitely the best phase 4 movie that came out, so it's gonna be in the B tier. Black Widow. The movie that should have been amazing, and it wasn't. It's gonna go in the D tier. It's really disappointing because I love Yelena, I love Black Widow, Nat. I love all the characters, it's just the story wasn't what it should have been. And also, we should have gotten it way before. I have my complaints, and I'm just gonna ignore them. What If? That gets an F. I'm not gonna say anything about that. We didn't even watch every single episode of What If, but the episodes that we did see, they were garbage. Hawkeye? Actually not that bad. I think because I had really low expectations for Hawkeye, I was actually pleasantly surprised. I think if you had high expectations for it, you would have been very disappointed. So I'm gonna put it in the C tier. Eternals gets an F. It's not a good movie. Moon Knight. Moon Knight gets an A for me. Actually, no, yeah. I would say it's like an A plus, but not quite S tier. It's like in between, but I'll just put it in the A anyway. I really loved Moon Knight. I think I actually liked Moon Knight more than I liked WandaVision.
WandaVision gets an A. Out of all the television shows, it's the best television show for sure.
It was so good, and dealing with DID and the acting was super good. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, that gets an F as well. I hated this movie more than anything on the entire planet, and I understand the director did not watch WandaVision. So they did not know where WandaVision was going, and that it kind of already concluded Wanda's whole mourning arc, mourning over Vision and then her kids, and it kind of had like the perfect ending. And I understand like she had like the Darkhold was like onto her and all that stuff, so she wasn't the Wanda that we know. She was the Scarlet Witch, but they just really flopped on this movie. It was really bad. I don't like either Doctor Strange movie, and this one flopped so hard. Anyway, Miss Marvel, I'm gonna put that as also a C. I did not hate this movie, and I know a lot of people did hate this movie, and I had zero expectations for it, and it exceeded my zero expectations. Like, I didn't go into it thinking that it was going to be crap and be, like, already disappointed in my head. So it was actually not that bad. I would say it's about the exact same as Hawkeye. There were some scenes that were really good, some scenes that were kind of mid, but overall it was pretty good. Thor, Love, and Thunder. I'm probably going to get, like, roasted so bad, but I'm going to put this as a B. I thought it was funny. I thought it was, like, just a comedy relief type movie. It didn't really take itself too seriously. Taika Waititi's an amazing director. I just thought it was really good and funny, especially because we had just gotten Multiverse of Madness, and it was such a disappointment, and we saw like how phase 4 was already going with all these movies, and this one was just, it was pretty funny and it was pretty good, and I left the theater enjoying the movie, and I just felt like it was pretty good, but again, not nearly as good as these ones. So She-Hulk, I'm gonna give it a D. It was pretty funny in some scenes. I never saw the I Am Groot series, so I'm just gonna skip that one. Wakanda Forever, I'm gonna give it a D. I thought the storyline with mourning T'Challa was amazing, and I thought Shuri's journey of overcoming that grief of losing her brother and her mom and her dad like so rapidly back to back, I thought that was really good, but I hated the Mayan characters so much. I think the acting was great and the costumes were amazing. It was beautiful. It was like aesthetically pleasing, but the movie itself was not good. Ironheart just kind of fell flat, and we'll see with the new Ironheart TV show or movie that they put out if there's some redemption there, but Ant-Man, Quantumania, that's gonna get an F for me. And then Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is going to get a S for me. I loved that movie so much. If you saw my review on it, you know how much I loved that movie. It was so good, so moving. I know James Gunn is done with Marvel, and he really went out with a bang on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It was so good. It was so moving. Everybody had sort of a happy ending, and it was just so good. I have an in-depth review on that one, but anyway, that gets an S for sure. So I think that's all of them. If you would like to see any more content like this in the future, just go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave me a comment of the next tier list that you would like for me to do. Yeah, I love you guys. Bye.